Today we will be talking about social media. And the reason why I wanted to do this training today is because I see a lot of agents doing a tremendous job on social media, posting really promotional content, but they're missing one of the most important aspects of social media, and that is being social. So kind of start at first a 10,000 foot view, ask the question is, what is the most important inputs for any sales role? Now, I'm not talking about only real estate. I'm talking about sales of any kind. We're selling concrete, widgets, doesn't matter. So you think about what the two most important inputs are for any sales role. You're going to be talking about contacts being added to your database and then having conversations with those contacts. These are the two most important inputs for any sales role. I don't care what the industry is. The one component of this is that consistency is key. Now, if you take one day and go and add as many contacts as you can and have as many conversations as you can, you're not going to have a sustainable business. You're not going to experience success over a long period of time. The number one key to experience that success over a long period of time is consistency. If you do the mundane day in and day out, you will eventually receive the results that you desire. So now with social media, it relates a lot like sales, but the inputs are just called something different, and that's called reach and engagement. Reach is the number of contacts that we're getting in touch with, and engagement is having those actual conversations. And again, social media is just like sales. Consistency is the most important factor. It does not help for you to go post 30 videos on one day, send a bunch of comments on one day, send a bunch of DMs, and then not go back and respond to them or create any type of pattern. You want to be doing this day in and day out. And so what I've created is a new methodology for getting social on social media. What I've done is I borrowed the Tom Ferry system of prospecting in the power hour of 5542. So on social media, you're going to utilize the same strategy. And so what that looks like is you're going to every day have 5 new contacts. Now, it's great to find these new contacts by looking up hashtags, finding people through influencers that you're already friends with, things like that, things that are drawing people to your area, and you're able to connect with them on something that's personally for you. Then from those 5 people that you get new each day, you're going to schedule a follow-up at some point in the future. And that's going to depend on whether or not they have a response. If you get no response, I would recommend putting them on about a month out. And if you do get a response, maybe you want to do something a little bit sooner. If you get a cold response, maybe you want to stretch it out a little bit. But ultimately, your goal here is to engage with people and to get them to start engaging back with you on your content. Next, you're going to be doing 4 reach outs to people who are part of your sphere of influence. Now, this should be by far the easiest one for you to do. If you just go on Instagram and tap into your stories and just start flipping through, send people direct messages on their stories. Tell them how much you love what they're doing. Tell them how amazing you think their vacation looked, how cute their kids are in those pictures, whatever it may be. Just show them love, show them value, and show them that you really care about them. And then last is 2 pieces of content. Now, if you've listened to my content before, you know that I don't recommend posting every single day for a real estate agent because I do think it is a little bit of overkill unless you're looking to really just grow your business only through social media. Now, are those people out there that applies to, but I think for the mass amount of people, we're looking at really wanting to post just like 3 times per week. So in addition to those 3 posts per week that I want you to shoot in vertical video, I want you to also do a custom story each day with showing you on the camera. Now, this is going to equate to being 2 videos every single day. So 3 of the days can be a post, and then 7 of them should be a story. And by doing this, you now will always have a story running on your social media profile. So the content, what it should look like now is we're going to have 2 forms of content that are really most popular. Number 1 is short form vertical content, and next is the long form video. So the short form vertical content is mostly going to go on distribution channels such as Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook Stories. Now, Instagram is the one that we all know and love. A lot of agents are on it, and you can get a lot of agent-to-agent referrals through Instagram. TikTok is a great way to get discovered by other agents and by prospects. TikTok is a great way to get discovered online. TikTok's algorithm really pushes out your content to people who are looking in your niche. So if you've done a good job of using your keywords in your video, then the people who are looking for that type of content will be able to find it. And then TikTok does a really nice job of linking the content that you're putting on TikTok and then pulling it over to Instagram. So if you have a nice profile on Instagram with a lot of knowledge broker style videos, people can find you on TikTok and then get to know you on Instagram, which I really love. And then YouTube Shorts seems to be a great platform to use these days, especially especially if you're intermixing long form video content on YouTube with those YouTube shorts, because then you're allowing people to find your content similar to TikTok. They're finding you through YouTube shorts, but the great thing is they don't have to actually leave the app to see your long form content. Through that same app, they can go to your profile and look at your library and see what type of long form videos you've already created. Facebook stories is the last one. Facebook stories is currently almost like a cheat code right now. So even if you're not a big Facebook user, definitely post all of your short form vertical content to Facebook stories, because they are really pumping out and preferring that type of content on their platform. Next is long form video, and this is going to be mostly in the form of YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. These are the most common ones historically by far. And then the big change that we're expecting to see in 2023 is TikTok is going to be allowing now horizontal videos that are long form content. They're doing this because in 2022, they surpassed Google as the #1 search engine. Yes, they did surpass Google as the #1 search engine. So look for TikTok to update its algorithm and to now start pushing content that is long form to its users. So when it comes down to filming vertical content, you really want to focus on 5 different content pieces that you can make, and you really want to have a diversified approach when using all 5 of them. So number 1 is hyperlocal. You really want to show your area in its best light possible. You can highlight other businesses, you can create community through social media, and then you also show the beautiful areas and neighborhoods in which you live in. Next is real me. And this is what your sphere of influence really wants to see. They want to see you with your family, you doing your hobbies, things that you do in your normal life. These are the what really draw people to your profile. And if you intermix this with the majority of it being real me and the real estate being kind of just snuck in, then people are going to enjoy going to your profile. They're going to enjoy seeing your content. And when they go to see it, they're going to be reminded of the fact that you're a realtor. Next is social proof. And social proof is the main reason why we see so many realtors posting content. And it is a really great method. You do really want to show your sphere that you're having success, and you are actually selling real estate. And by doing this, they are going to naturally start to trust you more in your career. Next is knowledge broker type of content. So knowledge broker content is one of my personal favorites, but it's honestly not one of the best that performs on the platforms. Knowledge broker, again, is great for you to show that you have this knowledge and that you can educate people, but ultimately people want to see real me. They want to see hyper local. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to see who you really are and what it looks like to be a real estate agent. And the last is behind the scenes. And right now, this is actually my favorite type of content. I love behind the scenes vlog style videos in vertical format for 2023. If you're showing yourself on your way to a listing, if you're showing yourself prepping a listing, if you're showing yourself cold calling, anything like that, this is stuff that's going to get a lot of traction on these platforms because it's very authentic. The promotional videos are great and all, but it's not what people ultimately want to see. They want to see what it's actually like, and they can tell when it's promotional, and they can tell when it's overly edited. So Instagram right now is still the most popular platform among real estate agents, so it's what I'm going to spend the most time on. So on our Instagram, we've been using a specific strategy called an Insta site. And so what we're using is a very pretty, easy to navigate page on our homepage of our Instagram as this Insta site. And through that, you can get a lot of information about us and our company. And so then also through this Insta site, you're able to then have in your description a hyperlink that will go to an external webpage of your choice. So on this external webpage, you want to make sure that you have some form of lead capture. So an example of this is on your IDX website, your website that shows all of your for sale listings and all of your marketplace. Make sure that you have a lead force registration component to that. And that will allow when people start looking at properties for you to capture their information and see who's actually getting traffic from your Instagram site into your website. Next is your posting schedule. So I'll say it again until I'm blue in the face. If you're a business to consumer, B to C, I highly recommend having 2 personal posts and only 1 business related post. Again, your sphere of influence is your primary viewers, and they want to see what it's like in your family, in your hobbies, and things like that. They are not that interested in your just sold. You want to sneak in the just sold content, reminding them that you're a real estate agent, but ultimately you want to be posting the stuff that's the most engaging because it'll get the most views, which will get the most profile visits, and then ultimately get the most engagement. Have a story running at all time is an absolute necessity these days. So the way that both Facebook and Instagram's algorithm is set up is that the stories are listed on the top of the page and they are pumping up the stories. And so your sphere of influence goes first to your stories, they flip through them, and if they see something interesting, then they might go and view your actual posts. So make sure that all times you have a story running, even if that means you're just sharing somebody else's content. Next, if you are making vertical content for Instagram, even if you're not utilizing the other platforms daily for messaging and things like that, definitely still post them to those platforms. People are going to find you through those areas, and then you can still drive the traffic back to your Instagram page if that's ultimately where you're posting most of your content to. And then last is use that 5-5-4 strategy before posting. So what you're doing is you're telling Instagram that I know these people, I interact with them, they want to see my content. By telling them that, then they will start pushing that type of media to them so that they can view it more often. Next is some tips and trends that I want to really recommend that you use in 2023. First off is make sure that you're finding a specific niche for you to post about. You don't want to post about one day about Carmel, and the next day about Sacramento and things like that. You would have a defined area and a defined topic, and that will allow the platforms to not be confused by who you are and what you're wanting to represent. Next is a very easy type of content piece to make that's vertical video is utilizing what's called a carousel video. So carousel videos, you pick 3 to 5 images that are currently in your camera roll on your phone. You add text to each one of them. And then through TikTok, you can create an automated video that flips through the different pictures. And then it's a very highly engageable content. And TikTok is really pushing it out to its users right now. Another piece of good content to create is text over an interesting background. So if you have a beautiful sunset, you can have text over screen, make it something short, like 7 seconds. And if its text is long enough that people have to keep pausing it or replaying it in order to read it, then you're going to get a lot of views on just one user. And then last is something very similar. It's just voiceover with an interesting video. So I posted one last week of my son on a roller coaster. I thought it was hilarious. And then I did a voiceover to it. And I talked about something that was very specific to my niche. And it got a lot of views because it was very engaging for the eyes. And then it was stimulating for the ears for different reasons. Now some tips for long form content. First off, bar none, the best long form content you can create to post to YouTube and other channels is property tour videos. The reason why this is such an amazing piece of content for you to create as a real estate agent is because if you make a video tour and put the address in the description, your video is now searchable on Google for that address. If you have a video for 123 Main Street and Bob and Sue Doe go and search for 123 Main Street, they may get the only hit as your listing video for that property. And so although the property is listed by a different agent and you are the one that has the video content, you ultimately are the one that gets that lead. Next type of content to create is educate your consumers. Most people go to YouTube to be educated. That's not to say people don't go to be entertained, but the vast majority goes to be educated. Another piece of great content that you can create long form content out of is clickbait Google articles. So if you go to Google News and you search something that's really related to your niche, like Carmel real estate, you'll get a list of all the different articles that are relevant. And then the ones that are at the top are the ones that are getting the most clicks. From there, you can create a green screen type video where your head is in the bottom corner. You're up there pointing to the article, talking about what's happening and educating the consumers about that article. This is a very, very easy way to create content. So it makes it really easy for you to come up with ideas. Always make sure in your videos that you're asking your viewers for feedback. So what do you guys think about these type of strategies for YouTube? Do you think these will get traction for you? Things like that. And that ultimately will lead to you getting more engagement on your YouTube videos. Next is to always have a call to action in your description. Along with the call to action, make sure you also have all of your contact information. Make sure people know how to reach you on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, what your phone number is, what your email is, things like that. Maybe even a Calendly book link. These are all things that are super important because if people are engaging in your video, they're loving your content, they might want to get in contact with you. And then last piece of content that I highly recommend creating is X amount of things to avoid. So 3 things to avoid when selling your home, 10 things to avoid when buying your next house, 2 things to avoid when staging your next property, things like that. These are very engaging videos and people typically stick around to hear all of the numbers you get. So you keep people on your videos for a long period of time. Which brings me to my next point. Your goal with these videos should be always to be improving your video watch time. You want people to stay on your videos as long as possible. If you think about it from the social media accounts vantage point, what is important to them? Well, Instagram and YouTube and all these different platforms, what's important to them is selling ad space. And they sell ad space by having a lot of users who stay on their app for a long time. The longer you stay on their app, the more ads they can show you. So if people are watching a lot of your content and viewing multiple of your videos and watching it the whole way through, they think that you're a great creator and they want to pump more of your content out to its users because ultimately your videos are going to lead to them getting more ads. So in order to do this, the first thing you want to do is have an extremely strong hook. And in it, you want to use statements. So real estate agents, you need to hear this. I think it's going to catch their attention and cause them to stop doing the natural scroll through the videos. Next is you want to use target market research. Through your target market research, you're going to really understand what your audience wants to hear about. You don't want to be talking about topics speaking to the wrong audience, because ultimately then no one will watch your videos. You'll completely miss out on the niche that you're trying to reach. Another hack is to use different backgrounds. So maybe for the first 5 seconds, you have a background where you're on the beach. The next 5 seconds, you're in your kitchen. The next 5 seconds, you're in your living room. And this creates a more interesting viewing perspective for the viewers. Next is to multitask while you're talking. Now, this is a very challenging one to do. Not everybody can do it. I myself have a tough time with it. But think about like when you're walking down the street and just picking up your phone and filming yourself. It's more interesting to see you walking because you have a moving background, as opposed to you just sitting here flat like I am now. This is less interesting than I'm doing now. So that's why you see a lot of people doing the videos while they're driving. You'll see people doing the videos while they're doing their makeup, things like that. They're creating a experience. It's a slight psychological hack where you're engaging multiple senses in the video. And I'd be remiss to talk about social media these days without having a mention of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to absolutely change the way that we create content in the future, and it's important that all real estate agents get into it before it's too late. So I personally am using ChatGPT in all these different ways, and I'll kind of go into them in a little bit more detail. So number one is I'm using it for content ideation. I'll go to ChatGPT and say, give me 5 content ideas for home sellers wanting to sell their home in the spring, something like that. And it'll pump out 5 ideas for me. And then from those 5 ideas, I might like one of them. And then I can say, now write me a video script for that one idea. Next is text optimization. So when you're doing your descriptions, you should always be optimizing your text so that it's more searchable. And then that is helping the platforms then identify what your content is about. You can put the information into ChatGPT about what you want the description to be about, and it will actually write the description for you. Next is script scrambling. So if you wrote a script and you didn't really like the way that it turned out, you can have ChatGPT completely rewrite the script for you in a more engaging format that your viewers might enjoy much more. Next is topic summarization. I love to use this for long videos that I don't feel like watching. I'll take the transcript, copy and paste it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give me the top 10 takeaways from that video. This saved me a tremendous amount of time, and I've been able to increase my learning since using it. Next is technical assistance. So if you're not sure how to do something on Google, if you're not sure how to make those Facebook ads, something like that, ask ChatGPT for help on it. It'll give you step-by-step instructions. And especially if you get caught up on one small detail, it can help walk you through that one small detail. And then last is tone tweaks, and this one's really cool. So kind of like the script scrambling, you can change your tone of your script. So if you wrote a script and you like it, but you don't love it, but maybe you want to sound more like Joe Rogan in it, you can say, okay, now rewrite that script in Joe Rogan's tone. Or maybe rewrite this in a more persuasive tone. Thank you so much for viewing the social media content platform today. One thing is that utilize social media to be social. Ultimately, it's a place for you to go and meet your family, friends, and sphere of influence, and for you to showcase how you've grown as a person and as a real estate professional.